Hello and welcome to this special council meeting. I'm Mayor Rob Burton, and this is a special council meeting. The reason it's a special council meeting is it exists to hear public delegations on the budget that I recommended to council after they recommended it to me. I know that sounds a little circular, but that is the new way that the province has us do budgets. And we have 8 delegations tonight, and as I understand it, you may all be here on the matter of transit, and if so, great. And if you're here on any other matter, that's also welcome. It's very good news, and council is very happy to see young people taking the opportunity to speak to council, and we hope that your experience will encourage you to keep doing it as you continue through life. It makes for stronger communities and stronger democracy. I have to do a few housekeeping things before we get to hearing our delegates. And the first is, Mr. Clerk, do we have any regrets?
Yes, Councillor Shi.
And let's see, Council, I need to know if any of you have a declaration of pecuniary interest. And Mr. Clerk, there are no pecuniary interests being declared here today. That then brings us to our discussion item, and that is what we're here to hear delegates on, and that is the mayor's, what we call the mayor's proposed 2026 budget. And Mr. Clerk, would you please call the registered delegations?
Yes, Felicia Lee.
Ms. Lee, welcome. Council looks forward to your information. The table that you're in front of has a button on the front edge on your left.
Right here, right?
No, you don't need to worry about turning the mic on, but there is a button that will raise and lower the table to suit your comfort so that you can speak into the microphone. So now you're a fully experienced public delegate.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
We hear you very well, and we're looking forward to what you have to say in the next 10 minutes.
Okay. Good evening, honorable council members and mayor. My name is Felicia, and I'm a 9th grade student currently attending White Oak Secondary School. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today about something that affects thousands of young students in our community, the importance of keeping free public transit for students. So for many adults, transit may seem just like a convenience, but especially for students like me and so many of my friends, it's much more than that. It determines whether we get to go to school on time, whether we can join clubs, whether we can eat lunch somewhere other than a hallway, and whether we can learn to be independent. And we truly appreciate how you've provided free transportation for us throughout the years. So one of the first things I learned when I started high school is that not everyone lives close to the opportunities they want. At White Oaks, they offer programs like IB that attract academically motivated students from all around Oakville. Some of my closest friends actually live far outside the school boundary, but when they come, they want more challenging classes and a chance to push themselves while meeting with like-minded students. I've had friends tell me that without free transit, they wouldn't have been able to attend White Oaks at all. Their families budget carefully, and that's even for one day, $4 for a one-way trip, and it adds quickly. So when you break it down, that's $8 a day, $40 a week, and over $160 a month. That's money that many families simply don't have to spare, especially if they're already struggling financially. And this is why we are so incredibly blessed that our education is being supported fully. So free transit is one of the few things that ensures students from all backgrounds can access the same opportunities and excel, which is why we hope that you will continue supporting this. But school doesn't end when the bell rings, not for hundreds of students. We stay late for debate practices, DECA meetings, Model UN, robotics, sport teams, math contests, drama productions, and more. These programs are the places where real growth happens and builds a stronger school community. I know this personally because I spent so many afternoons staying hours after dismissal to participate in clubs I love. And these programs have even given me the opportunity to speak here today. But what many people don't realize is that the club buses don't cover after-school hours. After 3 p.m., public transit becomes the only way home for a lot of us, and not every parent can leave work early to pick up their child. Some work late shifts, some commute commute long distances, and some simply don't have the flexibility. If free transit had not exist, many students would be forced to wait hours in the library or the school cafeteria, tired after a long day and trying to finish homework in a space they don't feel completely comfortable in. And one small part of my routine that I like to do a lot, as well as many other students at White Oaks, is to go to Oakville Place during lunch. For me and my friends, that short bus ride gives us a chance to take a breather from the stressful school environment. As we know it, high school is very demanding, academically, socially, emotionally, and even having 40 minutes to reset and enjoy life makes a real difference in our community and mental health. So when I go to the mall with my friends, we're not just wandering around. We're buying snacks, grabbing lunch, supporting businesses, and creating the lively, welcoming atmosphere that keeps the mall thriving in the middle of the day. So the mall gains customers. Students get a break that helps them stay balanced and recharged. And the town receives a bit of that youthful energy that makes Oakville feel alive, which is why we are so thankful that public transit is still free. So when I think about free transit, I don't think about the buses or budgets. I think about the students. I think about the friend who can only attend IB because of transit. I think about the tiring club meetings and the relief of knowing everyone can get home safely. I think about the lunch breaks that gave me the reset I needed to get through tough days. And these experiences also allowed us to realize that free transit is a needed service, one that promotes equality, supports education, strengthens families, and enriches our community. And I really hope that you'll continue to support it for every student who depends on it more than you could ever know. And we are extremely grateful for your support in our everyday life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very good. Mr. Clerk? Oh, thank you. Councillor Adams. Ms. Lee, would you like to come back? Councillor Adams has a question for you.
I have a couple of quick questions. First of all, thank you for the delegation. That was one of the best presentations that I've heard
Thank you.
On the matter in well, maybe forever, but for a really long time anyway. And two quick questions I had for you. First of all, when you guys go for lunch down to the mall, what percentage of your classmates do you think are buying lunch there on a regular basis? If 10 of you go down together as a gang, what percentage of you are buying something when you're there?
I would honestly say it's a pretty decent amount because majority of my classmates always go to Oakville Place. So I would say regularly, at least 3 times a week. I would say 50% of my class, all my classes, because it's quite a popular place for students to go to, and a lot of people enjoy buying fresh meals.
So all of those purchases wouldn't have happened without free transit.
Well, yeah, because if free transit wasn't there, then less people would want to go to Oakville Place during lunch because they wouldn't want to pay that extra $8 to go there and back. So they'd rather just stay at school, maybe go to Sheridan or a nearby store.
So it's $8 for lunch or it's $8 for transit, but not
for
both.
transit.
Exactly. And the other question I had for you is, have you ever had any experience wherein somebody taught you how to use transit when you were younger?
Honestly, this year was my first time using transit, because I never really used public transit until this year when I joined high school. I had to kind of learn how to use it. So my parents actually personally taught me how to use the system, and many of my friends also had a big input on that as well.
So it was done one-off. There was never anybody who sat your class down and said, "Okay, guys, you're now in grade 9. You're now going to have the ability to leave school at lunchtime and after hours, and this is how you use the transit system."
No one really taught us that. It was just mostly the students' decision, and a lot of students it gained popularity and more students went.
Would you feel that would be a useful thing?
If teachers told students how to do it?
Yeah, or whether that was delivered by teachers or by somebody from Oakville Transit coming in for a half-hour session during one of your classes or something.
Honestly, I don't think it's that needed because it's actually Oakville Transit is a really good system, and it's really easy to understand and process. It's all you need to get is a Presto card, and you're on your way. You can go anywhere you want. So I think it's a really simple system, and you can easily learn by your peers or a family member.
Okay, thank you for your feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Councillor Grant? Ms. Lee, I'm sorry, but you're not done. You have a couple of councillors interested in trying out their questions on you. Councillor Grant?
Thank you. Do you find that you're using the number 19 or the number 13 bus more
Definitely
often to get
number
to Oakville?
19.
The 19,
19.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel that perhaps if transit became more frequent as you went on and you had the ability to drive, that just to avoid traffic, you might be taking the bus more often as you become an adult?
Honestly, yeah, because like honestly, gas prices are going up and it's so expensive, and like public transit is like an easy way to like I guess save your money and reduce like the amount of like pollution in the air.
Okay. And this is just a general question I'm asking anybody about transit these days, which is, were you aware of the number 24 bus? Do you miss the fact that the 24 bus is gone? And would you like a connection to South Common Mall?
Honestly, like I never really used Route 24, so like I can't really answer that.
No problem. No problem. That's, like I said, a general question to ask. All right. Thank you very much.
Ms. Lee, Councillor Chisholm has a question for you as well. Councillor Chisholm?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Well done. But one question, you're at White Oaks High School, is that correct?
Yes.
Do they have a full-fledged cafeteria and food preparation service at the school?
Mostly they sell snacks like cookies, chips, you know, like drinks. And like in the North cafeteria, they also sell pizza and poutine. But I guess like a lot of people have like different preferences. Like at the mall, there are more options like Tim Hortons and stuff like that. So I guess a lot of people prefer to go there as well.
So are you saying there's not food preparation or service for healthy food, hot meals and so forth? Is that? It's been a long time since I've been in high school. We had full lunches and at the school. So I'm just wondering if they've cut back dramatically on that. Do they have hot meals?
Like, I don't know if you'd consider like poutine and like pizza a hot meal, but like that's kind of like what they provide for us. But it's like pretty good like when you just like want something quick to get while you're studying. But I would say like if you wanted like I guess a real hot meal, then you'd have to go to like Oakville Place or something.
So they don't have a varied menu of food opportunities.
Not
correct?
really. Yeah, that's correct.
So they don't have French fries, they don't have mashed potatoes, they don't have roast beef or any of that, or soups or anything like that.
They have fries, but they don't have like the rest of that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Chisholm, thank you for reminding me of how good we had it.
Yes, we did.
Ms. Lee, thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
Yeah, sorry, Mayor. We have Maheen Usman.
Welcome. We look forward to your remarks.
All right, thank you. How do I move this down? Sorry, I'm not as tall as Felicia. Okay. Hello, members of council. Today, as you all know, I'm going to talk about a pressing matter, something that shapes not only my life, but tens of thousands of lives residing right here in Oakville. And first and foremost, I just want to take a moment to appreciate all the effort for our support that you have made for free transportation for youth. Since I don't attend my feeder school, actually, I am a grade 9 student that attends White Oak Secondary School. And since I don't attend my feeder school, I don't have access to an HDSB-issued school bus, so I have to rely on public transportation almost every single day. Every morning, I take the bus to school. Every afternoon, I take it to my after-school activities. On weekends, it's how I'm able to visit friends and go to the library. And on dark winter days, when walking home isn't safe, public transportation is the only money-friendly, safe option I have. Now, both my parents work long hours. They can't pick me up or drive me anywhere. Free transit allows me to perform simple tasks wherever, whenever, without having to worry about my bank account, which is almost empty anyways. If I were to work a part-time job, which I currently am not able to, but if I did, it would pay minimum wage. And paying for transportation twice a day just to get there would be giving up a huge chunk of my paycheck, money that I could use to help my home situation. Now, free transportation doesn't only affect me, it also affects my friends. I have friends who live very far away, all across town. Too far to bike in the winter, too hot to walk in the summer, just too far. Now, free transportation is what allows us to stay in contact and stay connected. It's what allows them to show up to class, to practice, to study groups. Now, if transport wasn't free, some of them would be isolated, but since it is, we can connect and just have a better time. Now, my peers, people around me, who I know rely on the bus immensely because their parents can't drive them. Some live with grandparents, some with single parents juggling everything to make ends meet, some in households with unpredictable work schedules. Free transportation is the guarantee that no matter what's going on at home, they can get around safely and reliably. And it's not only a safe, reliable way for youth to get around, it also incentivizes sustainability, one of the town's own priorities. One of the key pillars in Oakville's 2023 to 2026 strategic plan is sustainability, and currently, Oakville Transit is already a leader in the GTA, and over a quarter of the entire bus fleet is fully electric. That's absolutely incredible. Now, children will resort to use public transit without having any other option, and buses have been proven to have the smallest carbon footprint than any other motorized vehicle. Now, this is a great asset that Oakville has. Now, if the goal is to fully support the youth, to help us stay in school and explore extracurricular activities, to have a life, then free transportation is one of our most powerful tools, and thank you so much for allowing us to have a life, to have interests, and do everything that we want to do. And it moves us across the city and moves everyone forward. For me, for my friends, and for every young person across town. Now, thank you so much for your time, and I invite any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. As it happens, Councillor Adams was the chair of the Budget Committee, and he's first, and then Councillor Nanda has a question for you after that. Councillor Adams, and then Councillor Grant. There may be a lineup. Councillor Adams.
Thanks very much. I also have three now university-age kids who just went through the high school year, so I'm very attuned to your lifestyle. Can you tell me, you said you weren't part of the White Oaks feeder school or within the catchment area of White Oaks, the usual catchment area. What would your normal catchment area school be, and what's your commute like in the morning and afternoon when you're using Oakville Transit?
So you're asking what my feeder school is?
Yeah, where would you normally go if you weren't going to White Oaks?
So I would go to Garth Webb High Secondary School, and I'm going to White Oaks because of the ALP and IP program, which is a great program, all in all. And my daily commute, every day, I have to wake up very, very early just to catch the bus. And I feel like that's it. I just walk to my school bus, which is around a 5 to 10 minute walk away. It's not that far. And I take the school bus. No, not the school. I take the public transit, and I get to school.
Are you going down the Upper Middle Road route, I presume?
Yes.
Okay, so you make a couple of transfers to and from home. Okay, thanks very much. I appreciate your feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Councillor, thank you. Councillor Nanda.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Burton. Thank you so much for the presentation. I do understand everything you're saying. I have a couple of kids at White Oaks, so I know about the route to going to Oakville Place, coming home, what they ate for lunch that day, and what they bought. So I concur with what you're saying. I just had one question, kind of based on what Councillor Adams said. So did you decide to go to White Oaks for the ALP program, and would you have been able to go there if the transit was not free?
No, unfortunately, I wouldn't have been able to go because if public transit wasn't an option for me, my parents, they work very long hours, so they wouldn't be able to take me, and that's just not an option. If I can't get there, then I can't attend there.
So it was based on actually being able to get there on free transit that was the deciding factor, even though you got into the ALP program?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Grant.
Thank you. So I guess the question I keep asking people is, again, South Common Mall. Are you familiar with the bus 24 route, the old one?
No, unfortunately, I'm not, but I wish I was.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll leave it at that. But thank you so much for using transit, and I hope that as you get older, you'll continue to. So great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm hearing some support for bus service to South Common Mall from you. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation, please?
Amir Harami.
Welcome, Mr. Harami. Council looks forward to your information.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, councilors. I hope everyone's having a very blessed day. I'm going to keep my introduction very short because there's an important question. I come before you today as a young resident who believes deeply in the future of this town, but also as someone who knows that the future must be built on fairness and opportunity, and that then the future of this town are the youth of this town. Majority of our youth, or shall I say, a very big percentage, use or depend on our systems on a day-to-day basis, not every once in a while, but every single day, whether it's to chase a dream, opportunities, fitness, volunteering, seek a job, or seek knowledge, or even some to provide for a family. Does putting a price tag on any of those things sound morally or ethically correct? Mayor, councilors, we are a community, and we are most importantly, we are Canadians, and it is our duty to help and support each other because that's what Canadians do. Tonight, I urge you to ask yourself the question, why? Why would we ever take away from our youth? I know and have faith that our councilors and our mayor are very great people who believe in doing good, and that's where they will always stand up for. Council, after hearing the stories, after seeing the ridership numbers, and after listening to families across this town, one truth becomes undeniable. For the majority of Oakville youth, transit is not optional, it is a necessity. Oakville is a prosperous community, but prosperity does not mean every household has the same starting point. According to the 2021 census, our population passed 213,000 residents, growing one of the fastest rates in the region, and I believe we're still going higher. With that growth comes pressure, more students, more workers, and more families trying to navigate daily life without adding another car that they cannot afford. And many cannot. And I'd like to tell you a story about a fellow peer in grade 12. And unlike me, he doesn't come home and get to relax and eat and have parents who work for him. Unfortunately, he's being raised by a single mother. And every day after school, he has to go and work. Now, he works minimum wage, and oftentimes he has to catch 2 to 3 buses. He doesn't get a ride there because his mom is working. They have to pay for a babysitter, and he has to pay rent, help his mother pay rent to support the family. That $4 or times 3 and then times 3 other buses there and back, simply he cannot afford that. It's too expensive. Thousands of youth in Oakville live with a single parent, a single income, or only one vehicle shared among several people. These people are not occasional riders. These are students who rely on our transit every morning to get to school and every afternoon to get to sports, to volunteer, to tutoring, or every evening to get to their part-time jobs that help support families such as my fellow peer. When Oakville introduced free youth transit in May 2023, ridership did not just increase, but it exploded. Town data shows over 700,000 additional boardings in the first year alone. This is not misuse. This is not abuse. That is a need revealed plainly and honestly. When youth ride in numbers that large, they're not riding for entertainment. They're riding because they have somewhere to be, something to chase, and someone that's counting on them. There will always be the voices who say, but it costs money, and yes, it does, but everything worth doing does. This policy is an investment. A youth who can reliably get to school is more likely to graduate. A youth who can reliably get to work is going to contribute to the economy. A youth growing up using transit is more likely to use transit as an adult, especially in post-secondary. I know my brother is going to be going to university next year, and he's heavily relying on public transit to go there. And he's going to be over the age of 18, or I believe 19 for public transit, and he will be paying, and he has no problem with that. Our youth knowing so introducing our youth to the transit system at a young age, later on in their post-secondary life, they'll know how to use it, they'll use it better, and they will benefit, they'll be able to pay for public transit eventually. So council, I stand here today not as a complainer, but as a believer in Oakville, a believer in fairness, and a believer in opportunity, and a believer in the young people who work hard, study, and rely on our system that helps build their future. Please do not take away from our mobility, and do not dim our opportunities. And please continue to stand with youth like you're doing right now. Stand with the families who can't afford it. And free transit for youth is more than a policy, it is a statement of who we are. And thank you very much for continuing it to be for free.
Mr. Rami, thank you for your remarks. You have some questions from Councillor Adams.
Sure.
Thanks very much for the presentation. I understand some of the themes of your topic that you've covered. I wonder if you can tell me about, are you also grade 9?
No, I'm in grade 10.
You're grade 10.
Yep.
That's around the age where people start talking about getting driver's licenses. And I wondered, among your cohort, your friends, what's your perception of the excitement or interest in getting driver's licenses? One of the things that seems to have occurred over the last 20, 25 years is a decline in the number of young people who are pursuing getting driver's licenses. And one of the results of that is a need to rely more heavily on transit for getting around, for whatever reason, whether it's for recreation, for getting to jobs, getting to school, and not having access to being able to drive. What's your perception of that issue?
So I personally think that getting a driver's license for youth that are 16, it's definitely worth it. However, many youth believe that it is not, because that they will not be buying a car because of, first of all, there's a whole other issue about jobs and all that kind of stuff. So youth are simply not able to pay for their jobs. Sorry, not able to pay for insurance, gas, car payments, and all of that. So it's cheaper and it's better to use public transit. It comes frequently, and the Oakville system is designed perfectly for students to get from place to place. I don't think I've wanted to go to any place in Oakville and not found a bus to get there.
Okay, thank you very much for that feedback. I appreciate your comments about the high cost of accessing a vehicle. So.
Mr. Rami, you have a question from Councillor Hazlitt-Deal.
Thank you very much for coming out and for your thoughts. From a commute perspective, can you tell me from going from your home until to school, what's the length of time?
So I use the Halton Transport Services. So the school bus comes right near my house since I'm in the White Oaks zone. However, I know a lot of students, especially in the upcoming grade 11 and 12, who have many spares because their classes are getting harder and the credits that they need to fulfill are getting less. And they need to be able to get home and to study. So that's something that a lot of youth use transit for, even if they are in the zone, since the bus, especially also on exam times, which we're approaching very soon, we're not waiting until 2:40 to get back home if our exam is at 8 a.m. And our parents are at work, and oftentimes they have to work overtime and that kind of stuff.
So you are able to attend using a school bus, but you're advocating that others don't have that advantage, and therefore that's why it's important to keep it. Do you ride transit in the evenings and the weekends?
Yes. I ride transit 3 times a day after school to get to sports, to get to my boxing. I ride the bus so I ride 2 buses. I ride the 19 and I ride the bus number 20. To see my friends. So a lot of my friends are moving, whether they're moving to downtown or to other places in Oakville. That's the way I kind of get to connect and see them. So I also volunteer a lot. I love to volunteer, especially with the fire department. So that's my way of getting there as well.
Thanks very much for your comments.
Councillor Longo has a question for you, Mr. Arami. Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your delegation and excellent comments. This is a question not just for yourself, but for the other delegates, because the very compelling things you've been saying for the use of public transit. But Adrian, I don't know if Adrian, who runs public or Oakville Transit's on, but I'm hearing some potential testimonials on the ease of use of Oakville Transit for not only youth, but the public, and then the climate change, people using the buses more. Will help with climate change. So those are kind of themes that I think are hearing loud and clear. And one of the things that you mentioned also is struggling families, and this helps struggling families to get not only to school but also to work for their families. So that I think these are all great themes. So I guess the question would be: would you be interested in talking more about this with your friends and talking more about the use of public transit and having testimonials as to. I don't know anything about route number 24, Councillor Grant, but I used to take the 190 and the 19, as well as the GO train a lot. So getting around Oakville in public transit is really good and efficient, but it'd be great to hear testimonials from you and your other delegates about that to get more people using it.
Councillor, we will actively pursue giving the opportunity to our youth to record testimonials that we can perhaps put on social media and other things. Mr.
I think we already have some of them already just from tonight. So, but good on everyone for coming and talking about this. Thank you.
Well, we'll seek their permission before we do it. Mr. Rami, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mr. Clerk, the next delegation, please.
Ashal Banuri.
Welcome, Ms. Maneri. Council looks forward to your information.
Good evening, councillors and mayor. Oh, sorry. Okay. Good evening, councillors and mayor. My name is Ishal, and I am a grade 9 student at White Oak Secondary School, as are the majority of youth. A lot of us are students, and therefore we use transit to get to school every single day. I'm sure that if anyone here in this room today stepped into a bus from the hours of 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., they would be met with a bus packed with backpacks. A lot of people, specifically in Oakville, have parents who go to work quite early in the morning or who don't come home until after school starts. Personally, my dad leaves at 6 a.m. and comes home at 2 p.m., and I have multiple younger siblings at home that my mom has to take care of in the morning. Naturally, that makes it far more difficult for someone to take me to school or pick me up from school without having a huge hassle. With transit being free, I'm able to go to school without worrying about my younger siblings or how much money I'm spending daily to get to school. I can relax and not have any anxiety about my younger sisters who are possibly being left at home, or my dad who might have to leave his workplace to drop me off or pick me up. Not only that, but I also do use transit quite often to get to my volunteering, which is a necessary part for me to graduate high school. Free transit in general makes it much easier for me to get to the places I need, and allows me to be more comfortable and worry-free while I travel. And I would like to say that I truly appreciate transit being free for these exact reasons. While there are some students who have jobs, employers typically only pay minimum wage to teenagers like us. As students, we do have other expenses as well, such as notebooks, study supplies, and if we go to Catholic schools, uniforms. I myself do have many friends who use transit daily, and because transit is free, transportation in general is very easy for us because we're all 14, and once again, it is quite hard to find employment without any proper connections. That, as well as the fact that my friends' parents are truly unable to drop them off or pick them up, as their schedules just do not comply. Therefore, transit being free allows students to remain more comfortable and secure in terms of transportation, which is something I'm truly grateful for. Near my school specifically, there's a bus that goes straight to Oakville Place, and it's just another way to demonstrate that buses are also used not only for education, but also for just enjoyment. Not a lot of people in high school, other than teachers and the principal, have their licenses, and therefore students are typically unable to explore the region. It's why the bus is so popular, because it's accessible, it's free, and it's a means of transport that a lot of us have already gotten extremely used to. In the hallways, people are always talking about this shirt they're going to buy from H&M or that product from Sephora they're excited to try, and it shows that buses are just extremely common in school communities. It creates a larger sense of loyalty to the transportation services that Oakville offers as well, because those who consistently use buses in their youth are far more likely to continue as they become adults or university students. Transit being free also just generally makes it a far more equal system for everyone involved. If there's one person who can afford going on the bus freely and another who's unable to, that does automatically create a large gap in the amount of opportunities they have. Free transit ensures that youth, regardless of income, regardless of background, are able to travel to school, volunteering, malls, or anywhere else they wish without feeling limited. All youth should have the same opportunities in the sense that they should feel confident and independent when riding on public transport. Transit being free, once again, allows that sense of equality in Oakville to remain strong. Most people are able to go through their days feeling content and able to reach their important activities or extracurriculars. Rather than creating major differences between youth, transit being free reduces the amount of barriers and disadvantages that a lot of us face today while also keeping transportation accessible. So overall, transit being free for youth is an amazing thing that we as youth are incredibly fortunate to have, and especially for those who perhaps may struggle in terms of transportation. Transit being free helps Oakville as a city overall, and it also creates, just once again, a better sense of comfort and equality that we as youth have become very accustomed to, and offers so many benefits to Oakville as a city. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for your information. Councillor Hazatil would like a moment with you. Councillor Hazatil.
Thank you for carrying on the theme and for preparing to speak to us tonight. Have you ever been on a bus where perhaps the students overwhelmed some of the other ridership? Seen any challenges on the bus?
So typically on buses, like especially the ones that go to Oakville Place, it is very busy because once again, people don't have licenses, and so they do rely on the bus to get wherever they need to be. But in terms of buses, they are like a very straightforward concept, and the bus drivers are very very adamant in terms of how like the community needs to be in the bus. So there's not really much difficulty in like students or general travelers like having any trouble with fitting on the bus or like getting on in the first place. So generally, I think it is quite a comfortable space to be on when traveling.
Thanks very much for your feedback.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Adams.
Thanks very much for your testimony tonight. It's, all the delegations tonight have been just incredibly articulate, so thank you for that. I was going to ask you the similar question that I asked an earlier delegate about the training around use of Oakville Transit. I'm assuming you haven't ever been taught how to use transit, but if there was going to be some kind of education for youth who are entering high school, could you tell us what you might imagine being helpful or beneficial in terms of when that might happen or how that might happen?
So I've been using the bus specifically ever since I was a kid because my grandma would take me to my great aunt's house, who lives not that far away from us, just like a short bus ride away. But I definitely think specifically when I was getting my own Presto card, it would be very helpful to know exactly where you can buy one, because while they are easy to get, it's not always easy to find out where exactly you can reach, like get a Presto card in the first place. So I think that would be good to know, but otherwise I think the concept of getting on a bus and tapping the card is quite straightforward.
If we provided some kind of education around that to youth, do you think it would be helpful to see that happening in the middle school years, like grade 7, 8, or do you think that grade 9 would be an appropriate point?
In middle school specifically, we didn't really use the bus because our breaks were significantly shorter, so there just wouldn't necessarily be any time. I definitely think in grade 9 would be a more appropriate and good time to learn that kind of stuff, or maybe near the end of grade 8 when kids are starting to get more used to using buses, specifically in like the summer break, for example.
So the summer between grade 8 and 9.
Yeah, that would be good.
Great.
Ideal.
Thank you very much for that feedback.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Thank you, Ms. Ramey.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, the next delegation, please.
Andrew Chen.
Mr. Chen, welcome. Council's looking forward to your information.
Hello, Mayor Burton and town councilors. Today, as you know, I'm here to speak about Oakville Transit and why it should remain free for youth, but as my peers and I have just found out, the decision has been made, and it is definite that transit will remain free. So this speech will be more about our appreciation and as more of a thank you. So keep that in mind. My speech was mainly going to be about the three main benefits of free transit for youth. And I wanted to share some personal anecdotes that I had about free transit in Oakville. So my three main points were that free transit for youth, connected students with the city, it reduced traffic congestion, and that it allowed youth to get used to using public transit at an earlier age. So firstly, with my first point, I'd like to talk about the fact that with free transit, youth like me would be able to get used to using public transit at an earlier age. And just to use some personal anecdotes, I want to talk about last year when I was in grade 9. I'm in grade 10 now. I remember my friend and I were trying to get to Oakville Place, the mall, and I had put it off for about a month because I didn't like the idea of a $4 fee, well, an $8 fee there and back, and I didn't want to use the bus. I had some negative preconceptions about public transit, that it was maybe dirty, that maybe it would be crowded, and again, I just didn't want to pay the fee. But my friend eventually convinced me to apply for a Presto card, and eventually we agreed to go on the trip to Oakville Place during our lunch break. And that's when I realized that public transit wasn't that bad. The seats were decently clean, it was relatively empty during the time, and overall the ride was pretty nice. And that was my exposure to public transit. And many people, friends of mine, were the same. They discovered the convenience of public transit through the Presto free fare program. And all it took for them to discover that convenience was to not charge them the $4 fee for the fare. But back to the story. The funniest part was that in the end, for my first time riding public transit, my friend and I did get lost. We got on the completely wrong bus, and 2 stops after we found out that it was going the opposite way of where we were trying to get to. But that was a good thing because we discovered at an earlier age how to navigate the transit system and how to connect ourselves with our destination. And that's what making transit free for youth is all about, above all else, even if it's just for leisure, even if it's just going to the mall, just for going to the mall. It teaches youth how to navigate themselves, how to be more self-reliant, how to get to places, as I've already said. And it means raising a generation which uses public transit more, which is a more environmentally friendly generation, which also means a bigger user base of public transit in the long run. It's, in summary, a long-term investment for the town of Oakville. But on to my next point. A free transit system would connect them with the town of Oakville. So as previous peers have already mentioned, and I echo their sentiments, as grade 9 and 10 students, we are at that age where we have a lot of places to be, but we don't have any real methods of travel, be it volunteering, part-time jobs, or other activities, clubs, as previous speakers have mentioned, or for fitness reasons, to get to the gym, I mean, as someone else mentioned. We require a way to get to our destination. And that isn't always available for everyone. So the transit program is very convenient for us. And if anyone took a look at my volunteering record, they see that when I started volunteering, it was only after I got my Presto card. Having a Presto card greatly helped me with being able to volunteer and participate in activities outside of school. The point is, again, as I've said, free public transit for the youth would better connect youth with the city. And now on to my last point. Free transit reduces traffic congestion. If you've ever ridden the bus around 2:45, that is around the time when we as high school students get dismissed. You might know how packed it is. This may seem like a negative, but I always like to imagine, what if instead all those students were, in their own vehicles, around at school. I also go to White Oaks. At 2:45, it's always packed with vehicles, parents trying to pick up their children, and a free public transit system always helps alleviate some of that congestion. And as a previous counselor has already mentioned, I think she asked about how packed it is in the public transit, and it is sometimes packed, especially after around 2:45. But the great thing is that when it is packed, it's not during rush hour. So when students typically ride the bus, it usually isn't. Other people usually aren't using it at the same time, so that's very convenient for us. So, yeah, the point is, the public transit system helps reduce traffic congestion. And to conclude my arguments or my points, we greatly appreciate, we as the student community greatly appreciate your decision to keep public transit free for youth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chan. Councillor Adams has a question for you. I'd like to compliment you on how nimble on your feet you've demonstrated yourself to be here tonight. Councillor Adams.
Thanks very much for your testimony, your description. And I was struck by your story of you getting your Presto card and your initial reluctance to use Oakville Transit to go down to the mall, and your story of your friend and yourself getting turned around, going in the wrong direction on the route. And it leads me to the question that I've asked a couple of the other delegates around, if you had received some kind of training on the use of public transit, do you think that would have changed your level of confidence in adopting the use of Oakville Transit earlier? Would it have changed your desire to get on the bus the first time? And if so, when in your schooling do you think that would have been useful for you? Would it, like the other delegate said, would it be between grade 8 and grade 9 that kind of training would be useful, or would it be at a different time?
Right, and I definitely think that education for how to navigate the transit system would be greatly important. If I hadn't had friends who told me, I probably would have never found out about how to navigate the system by myself. I feel like as part of civics, it's very important, or it's crucial to teach students how to navigate this, the city which they live in, right? So I feel like in terms of where it would be in our education, I feel like as part of civics, that would be great. I feel like our civics education should be more emphasized. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. That's a good idea.
Thank you, sir, very much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk.
Lynn Tran.
Ms. Tran, welcome. Council's looking forward to your presentation.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, honorable town councils, and everyone. My name is Lynn. I am a grade 9 student from White Oak Secondary School, and I am honored to have the opportunity to be here today to talk about my personal experience with free youth transit, the benefits that come along with it, and the impacts it has on everyone in Oakville, especially youth. How much is $2,400 worth? That is my family's grocery bill for 2 months, and it can also be my mother's expense for me and my brother every year if youth transportation were not free. When I moved to Oakville about 3 years ago, I was charmed by the city, not only by the beautiful houses and trees, but also by the free transit system for youth. Out of the young people that I know, almost all of them, including myself, my brother, and many of my friends, have greatly benefited from this system and have used it to its fullest. We use it to go everywhere and do everything, from going to extracurricular activities, sports, and building our social network, to riding around the whole city for employment opportunities and volunteering hours. Oakville's free transit system has enabled so many essential opportunities and elements for a teenager's development, and provides a way for them to explore and develop their sense of identity. I still remember the time when I spent the whole day with my friends traveling on the bus to check out new snack spots in Oakville, or how my brother used to go on the bus at least 3 trips a day, first to school, then to the gym, back home, and occasionally to internship interviews. Now, why is youth public transit being free particularly so empowering? Surely teenagers will still be able to go to school, socialize, attend extracurriculars through public transit even if they have to pay for it, right? After all, it's just a bit more than $3. However, these few dollars, they add up, And as I mentioned in the beginning of my speech, if public transport is used frequently, fees can pile up to more than $2,000 in 1 year. And this is just for one child. It is important to keep in mind that adolescents are a financially vulnerable group, with most of us being incomeless, including myself. Due to my own lack of financial income, I find the subsidy in youth public transit being incredibly accommodating because I get to use the bus every day to do so many things, like going to school and getting lunch with my friends, all without stress to get money or guilt that I'm spending my parents' money. I'm sure many others feel the same, especially teens who come from a low-income background. Many families are struggling to put food on the table or afford warm winter clothes for their children, so paying more than $3 for a one-way trip is simply unrealistic. Let's look at a world where Oakville does not have free youth transit anymore, an Oakville that does not feel like Oakville, at least for me. If the free youth transit program is terminated, there are 3 things that will likely happen. 1, youth will still use public transportation, but it will be a huge expense for either them or their families. However, for low-income families, this option is implausible, which leads to the second option. Teens will have to walk if the destination is near, or they will not be able to go at all if it is further away. If this happens, it will take away many opportunities and waste unnecessary time for them. Lastly, the use of private vehicles like cars will increase, which defeats one of the main purposes of public transit, to reduce pollution. Parents will also have to take the time out of their day to drive their kids, and do you really want to do that every single day? I know this is true because my mom does not like it when I make her drive me everywhere. I want to say that the free youth transit system is truly amazing because it has made such a big impact for so many, not only for youths, but also for parents, the environment, and the entire Oakville community. It has provided me and so many other young adults the freedom to transport independently and write our own stories. From this, we get the chance to develop our character and skills through social interactions, recreational and extracurricular activities, fitness and sports programs, career-oriented opportunities, or even just the chance to go to school. We get to pursue opportunities or even create our own without financial or time barriers, all thanks to this initiative that is funded by the Oakville government and the public. So I want to thank you, the mayor, Mr. Burton, the town councilors, and everyone here for supporting this program in the past until now. And I hope we will continue to receive your support regarding free transit in the future with the purpose of an accessible and promising future for Oakville. And needless to say, youth today is the future of Canada tomorrow. So thank you for investing in our youth and investing in our future as well. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Councillor Adams has a question for you.
Thanks very much for your delegation. I'm going to ask you the same question that I've asked a couple others, which is around education, around use of Oakville Transit for youth. Is there a point in your schooling that you think would be an appropriate point to try to introduce some kind of base training for youth around how to use transit?
I think that would be a good idea, like maybe especially talking about how the system is free, because I think there still are some people who are unaware about the fact that there is free transit for youth in Oakville, especially because in areas like Toronto or like other areas in Canada, they do not have free youth transit like Oakville does. So I think it is important to bring awareness to this issue. And yeah, also to like teach maybe like bus etiquette in there too, because I feel like a lot of students in there are like really loud sometimes. And when me and my friend goes to Oakville Place, we try to get like the less busy buses because we really do not like how loud some students are in the bus. So I think it's a good idea.
That feedback is really helpful around transit etiquette. That's helpful to us to hear that. So thank you very much for your delegation. It's really helpful to hear all of this. And once again, I really appreciate how articulate everybody has been in their comments.
Thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Clerk?
Daniel Meyer.
Mr. Mayor? Welcome. Council's looking forward to your presentation. Tonight has proven the value of that table. We are so proud to see it's used like this. Please begin.
So we're a group, so we'll present together. So good evening. My name is Budhav Joshi. I'm a grade 12 student senator at White Oak Secondary School.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Mayer, and I am the grade 12 student senator at Garth Webb Secondary School.
Mayor Burton, councillors, and member of the community, tonight I want to speak to free transit for students from the students' perspective. On behalf of student trustees, the student senate, and all of the students of the Halton District School Board, tonight we would like to touch on two main points: equity and sustainability. Please note these views are also shared by the student trustees of the Halton Catholic District School Board. As student senators, we have the privilege to communicate with many students across Oakville. And a common theme we discovered is just how much convenient transportation meant to them. Through a survey we recently conducted, 270 of the 300 students who responded say that they rely on buses actively for traveling within our community. In consistency with our survey, to countless students, free transportation has simply meant access for students to travel and to succeed in their roles as a student. Since Oakville Transit was made free for youth ages 13 to 19 on May 1st, 2023, for the past 2 years, I have seen students taking the bus to school, to part-time jobs, to volunteer opportunities, to tutoring, to their extracurriculars, to sports, to community programs, and so much more. These are the very experiences that shape responsible, engaged, and caring young adults, which are the same individuals who will soon enough be building Oakville's future. In a time when cost for almost everything has been rising, free transit allows students to continue pursuing their education and interests without creating extra burdens for households and families. Dating back to the summer of 2023, I can still recall the excitement of my peers upon first hearing that free transit was approved by the council as part of the town's annual budget. In the words of the Town of Oakville's website, it was said that free transit is a permanent service to be offered by Oakville Transit and applies to all routes and services several days a week. So likewise, Mayor Burton also emphasized that providing free public transit for youth and seniors is an important investment council is making to enhance transportation options for the overall well-being of our community. Removing the cost of travel on Oakville Transit means people can get around more easily and will increase uptake in transit usage. Free transit promotes sustainability and equity and supports council's continued effort to create a thriving and livable Oakville. Without a doubt, free transit has actively served its purpose from its introduction until now, effectively reducing traffic congestion surrounding school areas and providing students who live distant from their school a more safe and efficient means of transport, especially during winter times. This welfare also poses an incentive for students to learn to use public transport around their community, hence increasing the potential for future rideship and encouraging students to make environmentally friendly choices from a young age, which are more than likely to grow into lifelong habits of using public transportation, benefiting the environment and the town as a whole by reducing congestion. Because if just 30 students choose to use the bus every day, that's 30 less cars idling in school parking lots. It's a simple choice to make with major sustainability and low traffic advantages. In a broader economic picture, free transit supports local businesses. Students with part-time jobs can reliably show up to shifts, and students can travel to malls during lunch to purchase foods. Families save money and instead be spent in our local economy. And when more students choose transit over personal vehicles, you reduce congestion, something that benefits every single person who has to pass through this town, be they residents or not.
Hello, as I said earlier, my name is Daniel Mayer, and I'm the grade 12 student senator at Garth Webb Secondary School. In addition to all the points mentioned by Budhav, there's also a safety component. With dependable, barrier-free transportation, fewer students will attempt dangerous alternatives, like walking long distances in winter weather, biking along roads not designed for safe cycling, or even being forced on an unsafe road because the sidewalk is covered in ice and snow. Additionally, cities across Canada that have implemented free or reduced fare transit for youth have seen increased ridership, decreased road maintenance costs, reduced emissions, and long-term improved community health. With all that said, I would like to end our delegation with a more personal experience that occurred just yesterday. Due to the heavy snowfall, I saw severe congestion as students' parents rushed to bring their kids to school in a vehicle, while others biked on the icy roads. As a result, students were stuck in traffic, and many ended up being 20 to 30 minutes late to school. It was a student It was a morning where students were delayed, stressed, and traveled to school through bikes and walks in the icy weather. All of which occurred even when hundreds of students had already arrived to school thanks to free public transit, myself included, allowing me to make it to my commitment as a school announcer. For the past 2.5 years, free transit has lived up to every promise this council and Mayor Burton has made, improving sustainability and equity for the residents and for all the students in this town. Tonight, on behalf of the students of Oakville, we thank the council for this commitment. Investment in free transit is an investment in students and families and in the future citizens who will shape Oakville for decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you for the kind words. Councillor Adams has a question for you.
Thank you very much, and most impressive that 2 different high schools were able to coordinate a delegation tonight. That's an impressive feat. So both of you are grade 12, and so you're a little bit older than the other delegations, and I would really appreciate your thoughts on the question of if there was some kind of training provided to youth at an earlier age, where would it, now looking back, where do you think it would have been useful to you and your peers to receive that kind of basic training around how to use the bus system, what's bus etiquette, and all these kind of questions?
I guess I'll answer first. Starting back from elementary school, I know that, as one previous delegate has said, it's a very short break. So having free transit is very useful, especially when there's short times. And I know that my elementary school is pretty far from plazas like Starbucks, so that public transit made it really possible for us to go to plazas like that. In high school, it was really easy to get a hold of transit because everyone knew how to use transit and the word spread like wildfire. So it was very easy for me and my friends to learn and get used to public transit, especially it being free with just a simple $6 Presto charge.
Adding on to that, I think public transit education would be fantastic for students in grade 8 and grade 7. I know a lot of students and parents maybe are nervous or intimidated by the procedure or may have never been on a bus before. And I think teaching students how to take a bus, how to purchase a Presto card, and travel safely would be fantastic and would essentially help out the community a lot.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments, and I've heard it from a couple of delegates tonight who have basically said, well, my friends taught me, or I learned through the grapevine, basically. So that's why I'm asking the question. Congratulations again. I'm sure both of you have bright futures, so good luck with your final year of high school and wherever the future might take you.
Councillor Grant has questions for you. Councillor Grant.
Thank you. I'm not going to ask about South Commonwealth bus service, don't worry. If you could change one thing about transit right now, though, what would you think would be the best improvement we could make?
Do you want to go first? Or?
I need a second.
Yeah. I think I'll go first then. That's a great question. I think that personally in my school, we have a lot of access to public transit, especially since we're the second largest school in HDSB. So us having, I think, around 6 public transport buses after school and some during lunch, it's very useful. It's hard to say that there's anything I would change, so I'm super grateful that we have this opportunity. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say?
I think public transport is fantastic. Across my school, White Oak Secondary School, we have 3 buses coming every day, each period 2, 3, and 4. And I think maybe one suggestion would be maybe to have a designated place where students will know when to stop and come off and how they can cross. Because I feel like some students, especially in White Oaks, we have like a barrier, like a road, and sometimes students will just jaywalk. So maybe just having a specific place where students will stop, where they can go, maybe like an arrow showing where they could possibly be. But everything else is fantastic. Thank you.
There's the crosswalk there. I know there's 3 bus stops, I think, along McCraney, but okay, good. Thank you for that. And just generally to everybody who's spoken about transit tonight, as a transit user and an advocate for all these years, you've given me a great early Christmas gift. Thank you. It's been a vindication from all these years of saying that if we provide free transit for youth, it'll be used, and that you'll become our best advocates, that you'll continue to make sure that people understand that the importance of transit is just as important as expanding roads. We need to get more people on buses. So thank you so much for everybody who came out tonight, who's still coming out to speak later. This has just been one of the greatest evenings I've had on council. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Grant. I know that this has probably been a very good spirit lift for everybody who works in transit, as it's always good to feel appreciated. Councillor Nanda?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Burton. Thank you so much for the presentation. Again, everyone's done a fantastic job. I'm in the unique position where I have a grade 9 and a grade 12 student at White Oaks. So this is great as a parent to see this. So as a grade 12 student, do both of you have your driver's license?
So I only have my G1, so
Okay.
I can't drive individually yet.
I have my G1 and G2, yeah.
Okay. So out of your friends who are, and I have a son that's in grade 12 as well, out of, say, 10 friends, how many drive to school and how many choose to take public transportation?
For me, I would think that maybe 1 or 2 kids would drive to school because of how far they are. Maybe they're like a little bit farther from the school. But a lot of students take public transportation because they can go with their friends, and it's just more convenient for them because they can, instead of driving their car, they can go wherever they want really quickly.
So you're seeing still less people. I know the students like to carpool as well, which carpooling is great as well. But in general, you're still seeing less students driving to school than taking public transportation.
Yes.
And do you think it's because of this program?
I think so, 100%, because, you know, public transportation, it's free, and it really just engages the community and allows them to, you know, go together and just have a fun time as well. Maybe going to the mall or coming home together, and they can maybe do their homework together if they have classes together. So it's just a fantastic opportunity.
And, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to add on to Budhav's point. Out of my recent friend group, if I just think at the top of my head, I know absolutely none of them drive to school, and I know they all use public transport, especially after school, because we all use this bus to get home, and it's a very fun time because we can all communicate, plan, if we have to, for tests or whatever that might be, but also just to hang out. That's part of our hangout routine as well.
Okay. And then I know that I should probably know this, but I'm not 100% sure, but is the lunch breaks broken up into like grade 9, grade 10, and then grade 11, grade 12? The lunch breaks? At White Oaks, actually.
No, basically, I think a majority of grade 9 students, they have period 3 break, but it's a random split depending on which courses you choose.
I was just wondering, because the bus that goes to Oakville Place, I was wondering the ratio of grade 9 and 10 students that are using it on lunch break versus grade 11, 12 students using it when they're on lunch break. And I'm not sure if that's something our transit team would know to see how crowded the buses are, to see how many of the younger students are using it versus how many of the older students who have licenses. So that's okay. But thank you so much again.
Thank you. We appreciate the time you took to share your information with us. Mr. Clerk?
Omar Nashat.
Mr. Nashat, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. My name is Omar Nishat, and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I want to talk about something that shapes the daily lives of people across our community, Oakville Transit. For many of us, especially the youth, public transit is more than just a bus ride. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to become more independent and explore the opportunities Oakville has to offer us. Before I share my own experiences, I'd like to begin with the words of someone who sees the impact of this on thousands of students every single day, Mr. Derek Graham, the principal of White Oak Secondary School. The principal affirms the critical importance of continuing free bus transportation for students across the town of Oakville. He says that the initiative provides more than just a ride. It serves as a foundational tool for expanding student independence, ensuring equitable access to education, and fostering community participation. Mr. Graham believes that free public transit addresses 2 crucial areas. Number 1, equity and experiential learning. Many students fall outside the Halton Student Transportation Services, or the HSTS eligibility. Oakville Transit becomes their lifeline, especially for the co-op program. Reliable travel across town is the difference between limited work experience and meaningful career building opportunities. And number 2, broader engagement. While HSTS handles morning and afternoon routes, public transit is where students can really get involved in the high school experience. They get involved with after-school activities and leadership events. Without it, many students would face barriers participating in this experience. In Mr. Grimm's opinion, continuing free transit is an investment in youth and self-sufficiency and full participation, ensuring distance and family circumstances never limit opportunity. Now, I would like to share what this looks like from a person who sees it on a day-to-day basis. For most teenagers, having a method of transportation is a difference between being stuck at home and watching everyone else hang out or actually being there. For me personally, transit is how I stay connected to friends who live further away from me. This is a vital aspect of my life, as these are important people who matter to me and make me enjoy my time away from my other activities. This also helps me build connections with people I don't see on a day-to-day basis. This makes me widen my connections and learn more about people around me. Oakville is a big town, and unless you have parents who are willing to drive you across town 24/7, the bus quickly becomes your best friend, especially in the cold, snowy winter months where walking feels like a survival mission. Transit is also how I get to my soccer practice, which are 4 times a week. My schedule is pretty intense, and my parents can't drop everything at work and teleport across Oakville to get me there. Transit makes my training possible. It allows me to stay committed, to keep improving, and show up consistently, which is 9/10 of the job. I've been playing soccer since I was 5 years old. It's a huge part of who I am, and I hate to quit it or make my parents drive me all the time just because I can't get myself there. Oakville Transit is also how I get to school and from school on certain days. It's already hard enough for me to worry about having to take 2 buses to get there without worrying about the $4 per bus ride. That's $8 each way. But more importantly, transit is what lets me stay after school and actually be involved in the school community. I'm involved in the Muslim Student Association, which is the MSA, which is very important to me as a Muslim student. But since I live too far to walk home after school, public transit makes it possible for me to actually stay, get involved in the meetings, and become an executive. And honestly, it also gives my parents a much-needed break because they can't spend their entire time outside of work driving me to practice, from school to meetings to friends' houses. I'm sure the other parents in the audience here can agree. You guys have jobs, you have responsibilities, you're all human, you need rest. And public transit saves you from becoming the unpaid Uber driver that nobody ever tips. Transit helps youth in other ways that people don't even think about sometimes. For many teens, the bus is the only way for them to get to a part-time job. Not every family lives close to the mall or a restaurant or someplace they can work at. Without transit, a lot of youth simply wouldn't be able to work, gain experience, or earn money. For example, my friend takes a public bus 4 times a week straight out of school to the Oakville GO station to get to his own job. And since he doesn't have a car, it's his only method of transport to a career-building possibility. His job also allows him to build proper time management skills, learn to prioritize, and other skills that are essential for him to learn as he's growing up. Had it not been for the free public transit he has access to, he wouldn't have been able to get this job. And without his job, he would miss out on all these vital skills he's learning. Oakville Transit also helps us volunteer. Many community programs in Oakville rely on student volunteers. And since the Oakville Transit is free, we can get to all these. However, it isn't all just personal stories. It's backed by real data. Since Oakville made transit free for youth in 2023, youth ridership nearly doubled, increasing from 16.3% to all riders in 29.5%. That's thousands of young people choosing independence, involvement, and opportunity. And in the very first month, youth ridership increased by around 85% after fares were removed. This proves that something simple. When cost isn't a barrier, students use transit to learn, to train, to work, to volunteer, and to grow. Mr. Mayor and members of council, I want you to take a moment and remember when you were young yourselves, wanting independence, wanting to show up for the community, and wanting to show up for things that mattered, but not always having the freedom to get there. That is still part of the problem of us growing up. But what has changed now is that Oakville has the ability and has done so to remove that limitation entirely. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine the Oakville that we are building, not just now, but 10 or 20 years from now. The youth who ride these buses today will become tomorrow's workers, leaders, volunteers, business owners, artists, coaches, and so much more. Free transit is giving us the tools to get involved now, to build confidence now, and to grow into the adults who invest back into this community. When you continue to, and I hope you do, support free transit for youth, you aren't just helping us get to school or practice. You're honoring the struggles that you once faced, and you're shaping the future that we all share. And lastly, I want to thank all of you for helping us with this, making sure transit's free and making sure we have these opportunities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for bringing your information and your feelings to this. Councillor Adams?
Thank you very much. Really very, very well prepared comments. I really appreciate your feedback. But the most important question I have for you is, how's your soccer team doing this season?
Pretty good. I mean,
Okay.
I try.
Where are you practicing and where are you trying to get to from, presumably from school to practice directly, or?
So sometimes I go straight from school to practice. Sometimes I'll go in the summer. Usually I'll go from home to practice. And usually all my practices are in and around Oakville. And
So in the outdoor season, obviously, in the indoor season, are you going to Pine Glen or are you going somewhere else?
No, we're going to Craig Kielburger in Milton, but I can still bus there using mostly Oakville Free Transit.
Very good. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. All the soccer coaches on council were very excited to hear everything you said about soccer. Councillor Hassett-Deal.
Thank you very much, and thank you for really weaving in some of those extracurricular benefits that that mean so much, and the enrichment around time management and organization, et cetera. But I am curious about the length of your commute. So when you, an earlier question was asked about can we improve, anything we can improve on the transit system. How long is your transit ride from home to your soccer field?
To my soccer field, it's usually like one bus ride because I practice at Holy Trinity. So it's a close bus ride. It's not that far. So it doesn't take me that much time.
So 20 minutes, half an hour?
I'd say around 20 minutes.
Okay. And because soccer is usually booked across Oakville, what's your longest commute?
Probably like half hour, 45 minutes.
So not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you the same question that got asked actually earlier. If you think about broadly transit, what's one thing you think we could do better, knowing that you've already sold us on the importance of keeping free transit for you?
I'd probably think about raising awareness that, first of all, youth have the access to free transit, because I know a lot of kids who don't know that they have this option, and then they only learn it once they get into high school. Like me personally, me and my friends have been using public transit since we were grade 8. We've obviously used it more as we've gone into high school, but we knew about the opportunity. So I think the biggest thing would be raising awareness that people can use this.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Grant.
Thank you. Councillor Haslett seems to have taken my question, but I'll ask a question of, are you aware that it is free to get to Toronto?
I actually was not.
It's a bit of a hack, but if you take Oakville Transit, transfer to My Way, transfer to Kipling Station, you can get deep into Toronto without paying a dime. So there's a good life hack for you. Of course, it would be a lot easier to do that if we had a connection to South Common Mall, which is the last time I'm going to mention that tonight. Thank you very much.
He's a transit whisperer.
You're building something there, Councillor Grant. Thank you very much for your information.
No problem. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk?
Kanishk Shukla.
Mr. Shukla? Welcome. Council's looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, council members, Mr. Mayor. My name is Kanish Shukla, and I'm in grade 12. I go to White Oak Secondary School. Today, I come with a story. Not just any story, but one about my personal connection to Oakville Transit. For many people, transit is simply a way to travel from point A to point B. But for me, it's much more. It is a tool that opens opportunities, builds independence, and provides a pathway towards education. I use transit almost every day, whether I'm going to school, attending my piano lessons, or simply trying to get to the library. Transit is what makes these things possible. Before free transit was available, getting to places was a constant challenge. Every trip depended entirely on my parents' availability. There were multiple times where I had to miss volunteer work, piano lessons, and math classes, not because I didn't want to attend, but simply it wasn't possible. Free transit removed that barrier for me. And now when I need to be somewhere, whether that's an event or a volunteering activity, I can get there independently and on time. With free transportation, anything is possible. It allowed me to plan my own schedule, participate in activities that matter to me, and access opportunities to help me grow academically and personally. It allows me to focus on growing myself rather than worrying about how to get from one place to another, because I knew that I could always rely on the free fares. Instead of being able to plan my own schedule, If free transit for youth were taken away, it would have a huge impact in my life. Instead of being able to plan my own schedule, I would have to work entirely around my parents' availability, which isn't always predictable. My ability to attend school clubs, after-school activities, and even community ends could become limited. On top of that, it would increase external financial stress. Even the cost of transit may seem small per ride, it adds up quickly for a student who relies on it multiple times a day. And I personally take the bus 2 times a day. Paying for transit every day would force me to make difficult choices. Should I go to that club meeting? Should I skip that library session to save money? Should I turn down that amazing opportunity because I can't afford the trip? And it's not just me. Many of my friends rely on the free transit for their education, their extracurricular activities, and even their part-time jobs. Some of their parents who work multiple jobs don't have access to a car at all. For them, transit isn't a convenience, it's an essential. Without free fares, opportunities would shrink overnight. Students who want to attend tutoring, join clubs, participate in sports, or even get after-school help might no longer be an opportunity for them. I would like to thank Mr. Mayor Rob Burton for choosing to maintain free transit. You've shown a huge commitment in supporting youth, reducing barriers, and investing in our future. My name is Kanish Shukla again, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Councilor Adams has a question for you, sir.
Thank you very much, and I really appreciate your feedback as well. And I'm going to ask you the same question that I'd asked a number of the other delegates around. If there was some kind of training available to youth at an earlier age, when would it be? Would it be connected to a particular course, or would it be a particular age, particular time in the calendar year? What kind of thought do you have on that?
Personally, when I got into White Oak Secondary School in grade 9, they give this introductory assembly where they give an introduction about the school, what activities that they have, especially their, Halton District School Board, school bus, the best opportunities that you can get. And I think that, we should add the opportunity for free bus fares as well, as, we will have, because the process of getting those opportunities for a bus, you have to go apply, and if you're not in the specific catchment area, you're not allowed to go. So that would really help.
Thank you very much for that feedback. I appreciate
Thank you so much, everyone.
that thought. And thank you to both to yourself and to all the other delegates tonight. Thank you very much. We really appreciate hearing from the youth delegates while we're talking about budget tonight, the discussion around what's helpful to youth in terms of supporting them in our community. So we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to everyone. I have to say, your teachers, your parents, your school board officials, and your council are very impressed with what you've done. I'd like to take a moment to point out that the vice chair of the Halton District School Board, Joanna Oliver, is with us tonight. And I have to say, and I know I risk offending somebody downtown when I say this, this is just one more proof that our school board doesn't need any help from downtown. So thank you very much to all of you. Council, that ends the delegations. I'd be very pleased to have a mover and seconder to receive the presentations. Councilor Hazard-Thiel and Councilor Nanda, thank you very much. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, there being none, that's carried. We need a mover and seconder for the confirmatory bylaw. Councilor Chisholm and Councilor Longo, thank you. Any objection? There being none, the bylaws are considered read and passed. Before I close the meeting, yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry, I was also wanting to speak one last delegate for the speech as well.
Yes, sure. I'm sorry we didn't know, and I should have polled the audience, and so it's my bad. And no, thank you for coming forward. Could you give us your name?
Yes, my name is Ann Han, and I'm a grade 11 student at White Oak Secondary School.
Well, you're very welcome, and we look forward to your information.
Thank
Thank you so much. Council, today I would like to talk to you about how the city bus is not just a way for students to go to school, but it's a part of how we know our life. It's a part of how we go to places that we love to go to. It's a part of who we are as students. I want to start off by sharing a story about how I use the city bus. For me, I'm someone that loves sports. I think that it's a great way for me to keep my head in my studies. And I find that when I do things like exercise and I spend time doing sports, it also helps me concentrate on my studies more because I feel refreshed, I feel ready, and I feel excited to do homework and work after I've had a good day of exercise outside. But one of the ways that I do things like go to the gym is every day is by using the bus. My parents simply just don't have the time, the money, or the ability to drive me every day to and from the places that I go to, like the gym, my skate coaching place that I go to, swim practices, and ski meets. And I use the city bus every single day to go to these places. And the city bus, whenever I use it, I'm able to connect with so many people that go on the bus every day. And it provides me a safe method to go to and from the places that I need to go. At first, before I knew about city buses, I was walking to the gym and I was walking to school every single day. And when I was too tired to walk, I would bike. And oftentimes, this led to very dangerous situations. There were many times that I was almost hit by cars because of the fact that the roads are not always safe. Drivers don't always pay attention, especially near high schools. There are many young, unexperienced people driving that aren't paying as much attention on the roads. And it caused many very close instances where I almost lost my life. Taking the city bus was, after I found out that I could take the city bus instead of walking or biking, my life improved in so many ways. I was able to have a safer method to go to places that I needed to go, but not only that, it also helped me to be able to do homework and do work while on the bus. I don't think that a lot of people realize the ability that you can save so much time on your commute by doing work and getting a head start. It's a great way to get a head start on your work, and then it's also teaching you time management, responsibility, and so many skills that go into being a better adult in the future. And it also helped my parents feel more safe as well by knowing that I have an easy, accessible, and also cost-free way to get everywhere that I need to go. Furthermore, the public bus has also improved the ability for students to take on so many more opportunities. So many students use the bus every single day to go to volunteer events. For me, I've been able to volunteer at my favorite place in the world. I love to teach kids how to skate because the best feeling is seeing people learn and grow and understand and take their first steps on the ice. But I would never be able to go to my skate coaching place every single day if I wouldn't be able to take the bus because to walk to skate coaching every single day is just too much time, and it's just not enough time for me to balance my other homework and other extracurricular activities. So taking the bus isn't just a way for me to go from one place or another, or even just to connect with my friends, but it's a way for me to feel safe, to feel less anxiety about just going home. Because whenever I'm worried about having to go home or the walk back home, it adds a lot of stress as well onto my studies. And when you're so stressed about when you're so stressed about just being able to get home, that leads to you not being able to focus as well on your homework, on projects, and not being able to spend time in the moment. The best feeling I remember is in the wintertime, being cold and seeing the bus come and going on a nice, warm, comfy, well-seated bus, seeing all the people that I see regularly. It's made me feel so much more connected to Oakville. Especially as a Chinese immigrant, I feel very much more safer being able to use the bus than the school bus. Sometimes there are cases where I've heard of my friends being bullied on the school bus, feeling unsafe and feeling like others are watching them or feeling intimidated by others. But taking the city bus feels a lot more safer. You have a lot more adults that you can see nearby you. You have people that might have the same ethnicity as you. Especially for me going to a school in my elementary school that was primarily people that that didn't look like me, that didn't have the same ethnicity as me, being able to go on the city bus made me feel safer as well and feel more connected to Oakville as a whole. So Oakville is such an amazing city because of its diversity, its inclusion, its ability to give people equitable opportunities and choices. And I've been able to feel so much more happier, so much more grateful, and so much more included and connected with Oakville because of the city bus. So thank you, Rob Burton, and everyone part of the council for making free transit. It really makes a difference.
Thank you very much for bringing your information. We appreciate hearing from you too.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed with the way all of you stayed to hear each other. And I'm also, I have to say, when I was in high school, I could not have imagined doing what you're doing. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Council, that ends our work together tonight. It's been terrific working with you. I look forward to our next opportunity. And I hope that the youth who came and shared the meeting with us take this as an inspiration to continue to be involved. And you've now learned that it's okay to come talk to council. And we love that. We hope very much that you'll spread the word. So thanks very much for coming. Good night, everybody.